A product of IFS, who joined services in 1989, Mr. Vijay Kumar, presently the Member Secretary for Karnataka State Pollution Control Board. He won accolades for raising voice against noise pollution, and he was very first to do so. Mr. Kumar is keen on controlling pollutions in all forms, and let us find out from him today what exactly took him to IFS and what is his work nature in Karnataka State Pollution Control Board. What motivated you to take up IFS? Was this present since your student days, or a recent one that sparked into you?
Basically, I have a love for these trees and wild animals. Basically, I have. And the forest department, actually, I was observing right from my childhood. Some of my relatives, they were in this service. I used to watch them very closely. See the kind of discipline in the department and the kind of challenge regarding this protection of forest and the natural resources. Really, that motivated me. So that I should also become a forest officer, and I can save this environment. And environment, as you know, it is very much important, especially nowadays because of the global warming and all. The protection of environment is very challenging, and at the same time it's very important also. And later I joined this agriculture college. I did my MSc in agriculture, and basically this agriculture and forestry, they are related subjects. So with my background as MSc in agriculture, I developed that interest to join this Indian Forest Service. That's how I came into this service.
Bangalore has been known as Garden City, Pensioners Paradise, with such fancy names. It's now turning slowly towards Silicon City. It's losing its age-old tag. What do you feel about it?
Certainly, it is losing that Garden City title. Uh, During my college days in Bangalore, during 80s, the city was full of trees. Even during daytime, we used to wear sweaters because it was so cold. That is because of the tree growth, a lot of tree growth, and a lot of lakes also in Bangalore. Bangalore is built on the lakes only. So a lot of lakes and tree growth. Because of that, the very good climate, and really it was a garden city. But later on, as the population increased, a lot of developmental activities have taken place. Naturally the victim is the tree. So any developmental activities, the trees are to be removed, even maybe for road construction or any building construction or metro or whatever developmental or infrastructural activities. The trees are the hurdles there. So the trees like that, around 2 to 3,000 trees per year were removed. And today in Bangalore, as per the survey done by the IISc, Indian Institute of Science, in collaboration with the Pollution Control Board, there are about 14,78,000 trees only. That means our population is around 1 crore. That means every 6 persons there is one tree. See the amount of carbon dioxide we emit. We also, as human being, we also release carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Around 700 to 900 grams per day, each individual will release the carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. So in order to counter that, at least 30 to 35 trees should be there for one person. But unfortunately, we have 6 trees for one person. So that's why we are giving more importance to enhance the green cover in Bangalore city. That's what we call it as urban forestry. So we have advised the BBMP, BDA, and also the forest department to take up more and more tree planting in Bangalore city, so that the Bangalore should get that name as Garden City.
As you yourself said in one of the interviews, 50% of the air pollution is contributed by the vehicles. How do you think we can combat this?
So it's very difficult actually. See, we have around 53 lakh vehicles in Bangalore city, and every year around 10% of the vehicles are added to the this existing traffic. So traffic density is so huge, and the infrastructure development like roads and then the flyovers, underpass. So it is not in commensurate with the increase in the traffic. So definitely it is a challenge. It's a challenge, and we have issued direction to the transport department and the police department and also the BBMP to for tackling these vehicle problems. See, here only thing is the regulation, this the traffic management. We have to have a proper plan how to regulate the traffic, and these heavy motor vehicles, they should not be allowed to come into the main city area. And then these autos should be, gradually. It is not, immediately. It is not possible to, ban everything. Gradually, they should be phased out in the, especially in the central business districts.
Like in Mumbai, what they
Yeah, like that. And we have to introduce more and more CNG buses. BMTC and KSRTC, they have to go for CNG. And two-wheelers, two-stroke engines should be banned. And we have already issued direction to ban vehicles which are more than 15 years of age. So there are a lot of actions we can do to combat this vehicular pollution.
You're one of the initial people who voiced your opinion against this noise pollution to create awareness about noise pollution, and you did receive a lot of appreciation because of that. So, what are the ways one can approach for the noise pollution, and how can we combat it? Are there any criminal laws who is enforcing this noise pollution?
See, noise basically, see, it is due to vehicles. One is honking, and the shrill horns, and some fancy horns. These are contributing to the noise pollution. And also construction activities like buildings, the metro, and then use of loudspeakers, public address system, and the drilling of bore wells, especially during night time, and also these crackers, burning crackers. So all these contribute to the noise pollution. So here, mostly it is, people should realize. People should, more than the enforcement. So we are trying to create awareness among the people. So that noise pollution should be reduced. This is our first step. And as per the enforcement is concerned, see, the transport department and the police department, they are acting. Here, the main thing here is we have to impose heavy fines. So there are certain, lacuna in the sense, there is no proper provision in the Act, Motor Vehicle Act, to deal with the offenders. So that's what the transport department, they are telling, we don't have sufficient, provisions to deal with the offenders of this noise pollution. So there are certain amendments are required in the Act also. That is the Central Act, Central Motor Vehicle Act. They have to bring some amendments so that they can deal firmly with the offenders. So many cases we can see, especially in the junctions, there is no need to honk. Even if you do honking also, you cannot move because of the traffic density. So people should realize, but they become impatient and they start honking. But there is no use. They will stay there only. So the people should realize this, and they should not do any honking. And as a rule, the BBMP should and traffic, this transport department, they should make certain zones as no honking zone.
Schools, hospitals.
Yeah, hospitals, but it is already there. 100 meters around hospitals, courts, schools is declared as silent zones, where these people are not supposed to do any honking. But still, it is going on. We are recording these noise levels in residential area, commercial area, silence zone areas. There also the noise level is increasing only. And one more reason is the vehicles, the old vehicles. The vehicle while moving also make lot of sounds that also contribute to this noise pollution. Here, more than enforcement, we expect the people to realize
Self-realization.
self-realization, and they should try to understand and this serious issue, and if they correct themselves, I think this noise pollution issue can be tackled easily. Otherwise, we have to bring some amendments to the acts and deal with this issue very firmly.
We often hear this politicians and other bureaucrats taking trips to the foreign nations and different countries to learn about the new ways of solid waste management, to learn new ways of this. I am not against this, and I don't say that this is any looting of public money. But how far are these learned procedures implemented when they're back home?
See, actually, this going abroad to learn new things, it's really required, and it's a good exposure also. But only thing is, after visiting some of the places and seeing some of the environmental issues, after coming back, we should really implement that. I'm also having the same opinion, and we should really implement that. We should enforce that. Suppose the ministers, if they go abroad and learn something, though they should, after coming back, they should enforce the department, the respective departments, to implement that. If that is done, I think really that the purpose of going abroad and learning new things, it's really useful, and thereby we can learn more and more new issues, and make our environment more environment friendly.
With Ganesh Chaturthi round the corner, with water pollution, air pollution, burning of crackers, noise pollution, how do you think a common man can combat this? Or how can a common man prevent this pollution? What is your message to them?
See, first of all, what I request the public is that, first of all, you go for the Ganesha, use Ganesha idols, which is made up of clay only. Don't use the Ganesha idols which is made up of plaster of Paris and some other harmful chemicals. And during the puja, we waste this puja, the materials, and we throw on the road and everywhere. So that we should not do. And while procession, taking the Ganesha idol for immersion, we do lot of noise by burning crackers. I request the people not to burn any crackers these times. And also they have to cooperate with the police department so that there should not be any traffic jam while procession. There is a traffic jam, again there will be honking, and it will increase the noise pollution. And regarding the public address system, that is especially from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. it is banned. People should cooperate, and strictly they should not use any loudspeakers or public address system after 10 a.m. Police has 10 p.m. After 10 p.m. up to 6 a.m. they are not supposed to use any loudspeakers. And during immersion, we have designated some of the places where exactly they should immerse the idols. They're not supposed to immerse any idols in the natural lakes and wells, tanks, etc. So we have created some artificial ponds, so where they are supposed to immerse the idols. And by cooperating with the Karnataka State Pollution Control Board, I request each and everyone not to pollute the water sources, because the same water we drink. That's how it will spoil our health. So I request the people to obey all these guidelines what we have suggested, and make this Ganesha festival eco-friendly one.
This is the message of the Member Secretary, Karnataka State Pollution Control Board, for the public regarding the Ganesh Chaturthi. And let's have an eco-friendly Ganesh Chaturthi.